Coming up on Cronkite Sports Report, a local boxer faces a fight outside the ring to stay in the United States.
How the memory of Pat Tillman continues to drive the ASU football team.
Division I head coach works to rebuild his career at Phoenix College.
And we go behind the scenes as Arizona State's equipment staff readies for a road game.
Welcome to Cronkite Sports Report. I'm Zane Hopen.
And I'm Brittany Boyer. As student journalists at ASU's Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communication, we look to bring you unique sports stories with an Arizona connection.
Our first story transcends sports. In September, U.S. Attorney General Jeff Sessions announced that President Donald Trump was rolling back an Obama-era executive order known as DACA, or Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals. This
change could affect 28,000 people living in Arizona. Reporter Tyler Paley met local boxer whose life could be turned upside down by the president's decision.
Inside the ring, tranquility, comfort, focus. But outside, a world of uncertainty and a fear of what tomorrow could hold, not just for one, but for many.
I know the consequences is not just for me, it's for my entire family. You know, it's for my girlfriend, for my stepson, for my baby that's on his way. I feel like this is the place I can give my children the best future, just like my parents were able to give me the best opportunities I could ever ask for.
Alexi Zazueta arrived in the United States in 1996, brought to Arizona by his parents from Sinaloa, Mexico. The Zazuetas were undocumented, just like 325,000 other community members currently in Arizona.
We will build a great wall along the southern border.
Now, the Trump administration is promising to take action on undocumented immigrants. That includes so-called dreamers, or people like Alexis, who are enrolled in Deferred Action for Childhood Arrivals, known more commonly as DACA.
DACA is what is called a prosecutorial discretion action. President Obama took action on his own because he was frustrated that Congress could not come together to come up with a solution for children that had been brought here really when they were young and didn't know what was happening.
Alexis arrived in Arizona when he was just 1 year old.
I didn't even know much about, being an illegal immigrant. I saw myself the same as all my classmates.
In middle school, Alexis got his first taste of what ultimately would become his life's passion.
I remember one day when I was 12, I went to the swap meet with my dad. And I saw a pair of boxing gloves. I asked him, Dad, can I get some of those pairs of boxing gloves? I believe they were probably like $10, and he bought me 2 pairs so I could find my brother.
And with that, he instantly fell in love with the sport.
When he first started boxing, I couldn't even look at him. I was so afraid for him. But his coach told me it was important for me to be there.
I remember the first day walking in, seeing the rings on the side, the boxing bags here, all the fighters just hitting pads, sparring. I was like, wow, it was like something out of a movie, I used to believe that only rich kids used to box,
At 17, Zazueta's amateur career was taking off. He made it past the Golden Glove State Tournament with ease. Then came the regional tournament in Las Vegas, where he represented Arizona, New Mexico, Utah, and Nevada. Another victory meant a bid to the national tournament.
I remember training so hard for that fight. Waking up super early to go run, get my workout in. Going home, getting ready for school. Right after school, go to the gym. Right after the gym, go to my strength and conditioning. Every day it was a routine. Boom, 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 for like 2 months.
He says he was more prepared than ever for that fight, a contest that could have made Alexis Zazueta a household name in amateur boxing. But at weigh-ins, that dream came crashing down when he presented tournament officials with his boxing documentation.
And they checked it. It said U.S. citizen, it had it checked off no.
U.S. citizenship was a requirement to compete in the Golden Gloves tournament, a qualification Zazueta admitted he knew going in. He was disqualified from competition. And on his way back home, he didn't talk to a single person.
That's when it hit me. I mean, I have no business in this amateur's career anymore. You know, I'm ready to go pro.
His first professional match was in November 2013, and in the 4 years since, he's undefeated at 9-0 with 5 knockouts. For Zazueta, it's his family that keeps him going. The 22-year-old not only has his parents and 4 siblings, but he's the breadwinner for a family of his own. He has an 8-year-old stepson named Daniel, and his girlfriend Paula is pregnant with their first child.
It's making him more responsible because he knows what he's facing, you know?
I'm the head of my family. You know, I gotta always find a way to, just like my dad did, find a way to succeed. I gotta do that now to my family.
Zazueta says he's never been in better shape. His family is healthy and he has a baby on the way. He renewed his DACA enrollment for another 2 years in September. But the president's decision to roll back the program is what keeps Zazueta up at night. A classic case of an unstoppable force against an immovable object.
There's always a way for anything, despite your circumstances. There's always a way to succeed. You just gotta be patient and look for it.
Give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses, yearning to breathe free. The 13 words engraved on the Statue of Liberty. Words that inspire human beings from around the globe to sacrifice everything for the opportunity of something. And words that give dreamers like Zazueta a glimmer of hope in a world of uncertainty.
Coming up on Cronkite Sports Report, Pat Tillman's legacy continues to grow at Sun Devil Stadium.
And later, how a former Division I football coach landed at a Phoenix junior college.
Before the football season began, Arizona State unveiled a new Pat Tillman statue behind the north end zone of Sun Devil Stadium. The latest way ASU has honored the former football player who died in combat. Cronkite sports reporter Ryan Curry takes us behind the legacy of number 42.
To Jake Plummer, Pat Tillman was far more than a teammate on the 1996 Arizona State football team that went undefeated in the regular season and made it to a Rose Bowl.
Once you became a friend with him, you realize how much of a good friend he was. He was always there for you. He's always challenging you to be a better person, a better human, a better man, and then on from here to the Cardinals and playing in the pros, you know, just a guy who was an exceptional character that didn't just talk about it, but really lived the lifestyle.
Plummer said Tillman was dedicated to success and a friend with everyone he met, including Doug Tamero, the assistant media relations director for Sun Devil Athletics.
The first thing that you noticed about Pat is his hair, and then he was loud. You know, when he talked, when he joked around in a dining hall up at camp, in his interviews. You know, he had no filter, but that was the main thing. And then that he was smart. Just in talking to him, you could tell the guy was on another level.
Here's to Brown, and he's thrown for a loss by Pat Tillman.
Following his tenure as a Sun Devil, Tillman advanced to the NFL but remained in the Valley, playing 4 seasons with the Arizona Cardinals. But following the 9/11 attacks, he cut his professional career short to serve his country in Iraq. He remained connected with friends and family while in the military, including Perry Edinger, a former athletic trainer at ASU who helped Tillman through shoulder surgery when he was a freshman.
He had qualities I thought that were really outstanding. Dedication to whatever he was doing, to moral attitude about things. He really stood up for things. He read a lot and knew a lot, and he could talk to you about just about anything, and he wanted to be really good, you know, and so you just really felt he would be.
He checked on me prior to his last employment. That's the kind of friend he was. I should have been checking on him, but he was calling me to see how I was doing. So that says a lot about the guy, and I'm just one of many, many people who've been influenced that way by his friendship.
Although Pat Tillman died in 2004, he is still the most popular person here at Sun Devil Stadium. His number 42 is on nearly every wall, and fans still wear the number 42 jersey on game day. Players have started a new tradition of walking out of Tillman Tunnel behind me and placing their hands on the new Tillman statue before they take the field on game day.
know him, I think he'd be a little upset if there's a statue of him because he didn't like a lot of the accolades. He loved to be cheered and encouraged and feel that energy, but you know, I don't know if he would really love all the attention he's getting, but hey, what better person to focus on and tell your children about if you want to talk about what he did between the time he was born and the time he left us. You know, the guy accomplished a whole lot of stuff.
Who would like a statue of himself? Not too many. Pat, I know, would appreciate and understand all the good that's come out of this 14 years later. You don't think of Arizona State without thinking of Pat Tillman. You don't think of 42 and not think of Pat Tillman. And that was kind of the goal when we started, is we just didn't want people to ever forget all that he meant to us, because before he was USA, he was ASU.
Following Tillman's death in 2004, the Pat Tillman Foundation approached Tamaro and Ettinger, asking them to help think of ways to honor their friend. They planned a 4.2-mile run in memory of his number 42 that was only projected to get 800 participants. Now the event maxes out at 28,000 runners.
It's the power of Pat. I mean, you really have to think about this. How many people, if the starting point is when you pass away, how many people have made the impact that Pat Tillman has made?
Throws and it's intercepted. This is Pat Tillman.
For many people, Pat Tillman was more than a soldier and football player. He was a man who was with and for others. The run and the statue are ways for people who didn't know him to also be inspired by his legacy. On the back of the statue, there's a plaque that reads, "May Pat Tillman's courage, both on the field and while serving his country, be an inspiration to all."
I'm always thankful and I feel blessed that I got to know Pat Tillman. I'm also thankful and blessed that it was the era that it was.
I looked back and reflected, and I was like, I hope he thought of me with that, It was because all these people were so good and so strong, and his friend. And I was also his friend, and I just want to be part of that.
On November 4th, ASU will host its annual Salute to Service game when the Sun Devils take on Colorado. The special edition Brotherhood uniforms for the game have been designed in collaboration with the Pat Tillman Foundation.
Coming up on Cronkite Sports Report, the winding road that led Robin Pflugrad to the head coaching job at Phoenix College.
And we hit the road with Arizona State's football team. Welcome back to Cronkite Sports Report. I'm Brittany Boyer. It's not too often a community college finds a former D1 Conference Coach of the Year at the helm, but that's the case for the Phoenix College Bears. The coaches have dubbed the school Last Chance U.
It's become a landing spot for players and coaches who have found themselves looking for a fresh start. Cronkite Sports reporter Andy Kraus went to Phoenix College to find out how one football coach is making the most of his second chance.
Second chances can take many different forms. For some players on the Phoenix College football team, it's as simple as trying to gain another 10 yards. For others, it exists in a context unrelated to football. For the head coach Robin Pflugrad, it's overcoming circumstances that have forced him to rebuild his career from a level even lower than where he started.
It's always a process to get a head coaching job, and you never want to argue how you get it.
Pflugrad's coaching career at the collegiate level began in 1980. He accepted his first head coaching job at the University of Montana in 2010.
Everybody see that?
But his tenure leading the Grizzlies ended abruptly due to scandal. Much of that success was overshadowed by sexual assault charges in 2012 against some of his players.
It was perception versus reality, and now it's starting to show, history is starting to show that I ultimately did the right things. And that's unfortunate that at certain points in your life that the perception doesn't allow people or future employers to look at that in that capacity.
According to media reports at the time, 7 Montana players were investigated in 3 different sexual assaults. None were charged. 2 other players were charged with rape in separate incidents. Of the 9 players implicated, only 1 was convicted. Pflugrad's contract was not renewed, and he was left to deal with the consequences as he tried to move forward in his career.
There were many situations where I felt my resume was put on a different stack on their desk because of some headlines that happened.
One desk Pflugrad's resume wound up on was that of Phoenix College Athletic Director Samantha Ezell.
At our level, often, it's not we don't make decisions in a silo, right? So for me, I did the research and I knew kind of his background and the challenges that he experienced in Montana. There were so many people that spoke so highly of him, and I don't know anybody that has a bad thing to say about him.
Pflugrad's second chance at rebuilding his coaching career came at Phoenix College when he was hired as the team's offensive coordinator in 2015, before becoming the head coach prior to the start of this season. The team practices right here, on a field sprinkled with hazardous divots and a goalpost constructed of PVC pipe. Dealing with experiences like these at the community college level has helped Pflugrad grow as both a football coach and a leader of young men.
I could tell he believed in me. A lot of coaches told me I was too short coming out of high school. I thought I was too small, but I could tell he believed in me and wanted to give me a chance to really come out here and perform. And you definitely want to play for a coach that believes in you.
He understands me and my background, so he's willing to work with me, and I think that's really good in the coach, because if you're willing to work with your players, you'll gain their trust, and if you got their trust, they'll play for you.
He's straight up with you, and he gets to the point, so that's what you need in order to be successful. There's someone that's going to tell you how it is and not sugarcoat anything.
The adjustments Pflugrad must make to survive at the community college level, due to the lack of resources available to the school for athletics, brings him a heightened respect to his profession that has both changed him and impressed his players.
What are we going to have for pregame meal? Can we afford it? Next is the equipment in order. What jerseys will we wear? Just how busy you are doing non-football related activities. When you finally get to your X's and O's, it's late in the evening or late in the week.
Phoenix College's football family would be saddened to see Pflugrad move on to another job. But at the same time, they think he deserves the opportunity should a Division I coaching position come calling once again.
I hope for his sake that he does, because I think that's something that professionally he would like to do again. I think the challenges at the NCAA level, though, are really great in terms of overcoming some of the things that occurred at Montana. I think it's really unfortunate. I think he absolutely deserves to be at that level if that's where he would like to be professionally.
I've come to know in this profession, I don't think you can ever look forward and say, hey, this is what I'm going to do, or this is what I'm not going to do, because you never have a very good clue where it's going to end up, where your career will end up. So I don't think you can ever say yes or no to any opportunity until it comes.
There are many factors that go into defining a second chance. A lot of that depends on what's occurred in the past and what one hopes to achieve in the future. But for Robin Pflugrad, it's about making a difference for those he has the opportunity to influence now. In Phoenix, Andy Krause, Cronkite Sports Report.
Coming up on Cronkite Sports Report, what does it take for Sun Devil football to prepare for a road trip? Our Jeff Sullivan finds out. Transporting a college football team is no easy task. Cronkite Sports reporter Jeff Sullivan got a behind-the-scenes look with the Arizona State equipment crew to see what it takes.
Here we go.
As a new week of college football gets underway, the Arizona State Sun Devils are preparing to play the Stanford Cardinal. The players have the day off, but packing has already begun for the trip to Palo Alto. Leading the charge is senior equipment coordinator Jerry Neely. In his 6th season with the team, Neely has quite a bit on his plate when it comes to responsibilities.
Everything you could imagine for the football team. Helmets, shoulder pads, jerseys, cleats, socks, gloves. We're in charge of packing all of that for the truck to take on the road. We're in charge of all the practice equipment out on the fields during practice. We're in charge of game day headsets. Aside from the coach or the athlete itself, if you see it on the field at practice or in the game, we're probably in charge of it.
The biggest task Neely and his crew will face is packing Sun Devil football's 52-foot semi. Throughout the week, Everything the team will need during their time on the road gets loaded onto the truck and checked off accordingly. One of the last items to go on are the game day helmets. The equipment staff replaces decals and removes scuffs and markings from the previous game. Transporting a collegiate football team is no easy task. It's crucial to make sure that nothing is left behind when the team flies out Friday afternoon.
Our truck driver comes, makes final checks, makes sure everything we have is on it, and he heads to Stanford. Eric and Caleb will meet at the stadium as well. They'll unload all the trunks. They'll go sort through everything. They'll set the equipment room up. They'll set the coach's locker room up. They'll go and they'll set the player locker room up. Eric goes through and he labels where everyone is in the locker room. He decides where everybody sits. He also puts out their inspirational picture that he has for every athlete. He puts signs up in the locker room to make it feel like home. We even go so far as to putting up air fresheners in the locker room to mimic the air fresheners we have in our locker room.
As the team arrives at the stadium, the equipment staff has the locker room prepped and ready to go. The jerseys are pressed, the helmet shined. Everything is in place. Once the team returns from warm-up, Neely and his assistants make any last-minute adjustments and help the athletes put on their uniforms. It's time to go to work. In the Pac-12, teamwork and preparation is key, on the field and off. In Palo Alto, Jeff Sullivan, Cronkite Sports Report.
2 road trips remain for Neely and his crew this season, with back-to-back games at UCLA and Oregon State on November 11th and November 18th.
That's all for this edition of Cronkite Sports Report. I'm Zane Hopen.
And I'm Brittany Boyer. From all of us here at the Phoenix Sports Bureau of Cronkite News, thank you for joining us.